inside street, like 168th Street, 167th Street. Those are the inside street. We are driving between 10 to 15 miles per hour. When we are making turn has to be 5 to 10 miles per hour. Okay. And the day like today, no rainy, no snowy. If it's rainy day or snowy day, the speed limit should be lesser than that. And if it's rainy day or snowy day, we have to add two more things. What is the two things? The first one is the windshield wiper. And second one is the New York State law requires each time you turn on your windshield wiper, your headlight has to be on. So each time we are turning on our windshield wiper, our headlight has to be on. Okay, so this is the two things we have to have. No. And another thing, sometimes if it's too much rain or too much snow, we have to turn on the fan because it gets muggy inside. It's too much fog inside because we breathe. So sometimes we have to turn on the fan inside also. So if, like sometimes people think, oh, today is the rainy day, we are canceling the lesson. No, you should take it. Sometimes it's little snowy day. We should take the lesson. If we are taking all the lesson on the day like today, and you have the road test on the day is little bit rainy or like it's snowy, little bit snowy, you can cancel the road test. And if you canceling, you have no problem. But again, you have to wait until like 8 weeks or 6 weeks. So can you afford to wait that much? It's fine. And if it's that bad, DMV will cancel or we will cancel. It's our car. We don't want to lose our car, dear. And we are scared of you guys. So we don't want to lose it. So that's the thing. You have to take it. Like also after you getting the license, you have to drive all weather, all different kind of weather. So make sure you drive all different kind of weather is better. So, you think about it, all this thing. So that's the speed limit we should drive. All right. Any questions so far?
No, thank you.
All right. Now, tell me, what is the color of the stop sign?
Red. Hexagon, something.
Yes, red. It's absolutely fine. How many different kind of stop sign we see in the street?
You may see in between like 1 to sometimes 2 on the street.
2, right? One is the regular stop sign, one is the always stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between like always stop sign and the regular stop sign? Anybody can tell?
Always means one time stop, and regular stop sign means two times. First passenger, then the car.
Okay. Let me explain you. The regular stop sign, it's an intersection. Regular stop sign means we have it and our opposite side people have it. The other two side does not have it. Okay. And always stop sign means every single corner of the intersection have it. Now, let me explain it. So stop means, guys, stop, complete stop. Always remember, stop, complete, count 1, 2, 3, then we go. Not like the regular people stop. Okay, all the regular drivers stop, not that's the way we can stop. We are stopping the complete stop. Let me explain that regular stop sign. So regular stop sign means we have it, our opposite side people have it, other two side does not have it, right? So we are stopping the first one, the regular stop sign, we can stop twice. We are stopping before the stop sign, from the stop sign within 1 foot, for the pedestrian. That stop, we are stopping for the pedestrian. So we are stopping from the stop sign within 1 foot, stop complete, count 1, 2, 3 on your head. Then we go. Okay, we go to see the traffic. If you ask me, where should I stop the next one? I don't know. The purpose of the second stop to see the traffic. So answer would be where we can see the traffic properly, stop the next one. Okay, so second stop would be where you can see the traffic properly, you stop the next one. And stop complete, if any car is coming within 100 feet or 1 block, stop. You do not go. Okay, so regular stop sign, we are stopping twice, one for the pedestrian before the stop sign, one for the traffic. Okay, and always stop sign means every single corner of the intersection have the stop sign. This one, we are stopping only one time. Only one time for what? One time for the pedestrian. We are stopping complete stop, count 1, 2, 3, and we do not have to stop the second one because every single corner of the intersection have the stop sign. For this one, whoever comes first, they go first. Okay, so that's the way it should be.
So
Now
pretty much,
question coming. If-
yes,
Yeah. Tell
Yeah.
me, David.
yes. I just have one quick question. So basically, it's like you're saying, whoever gets to the intersection first, with a stop all the way, is they the one that goes first, correct?
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay,
Mhm.
I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
That's now I'm getting a question. I'm gonna ask you a question. You came and your right hand side person came at the same time. We'll go first.
I would say the right person would go first.
Absolutely. Your right hand side will have always right of way. So remember, you and your right hand side person came exactly at the same time. It's not like who have the big car or who have the macho person. No, it doesn't go that way. It's your right hand side always have right of way. Okay. So is always remember your right hand side will have the right of way. If he is your left hand side person and you came at the same time, you will go first, then your left person will go. Okay, understand?
Yeah.
All right. Then we will see the triangle sign, which is the yield sign. Yield sign means is slow down. If necessary to stop, you stop. Otherwise, slow down and you go. Okay. Then we will see one-way sign is a black and white arrow. That means traffic going on the same direction. Sometimes we will see in flashing red light and flashing yellow light. That means flashing red light means treat as a stop sign, and flashing yellow light treat as a yield sign. Then we will see do not enter. Do not enter means you do not enter at all. And the school is open, so we see lot of school buses. If school buses, the red light is flashing with their stop sign out, you do not cross at all. Even if it's a divider highway and school bus is flashing other side of the street and you are going this side of the street, you still do not cross at all. Okay, after you get the license, you do not cross at all, even is a divider highway. That's the New York State law. You do not cross the flashing red light buses. And hospital sign also, sometimes they have the speed limit, they have the bump. So you drive on the same speed limit. Hospital sign is a blue and white. And sometimes you see do not blow honk and the speed limit, you see it. So you have to follow those signs. I'm going to put the video. You will see lot of different kind of sign because you will see the video for the New York State because you are getting license for the New York State. but I'm letting you know for the New York, like, you know, the city, because city is different than the New York State. So mostly I'm discussing you about the New York City, but you will see a lot of sign about New York State. Upstate is like duck crossing and all those, like, you know, the animals like deer crossing, all those things, you will see it also. But in the city, there is none, probably rat crossing right now in city. So those are the thing. Okay. And pedestrian, another thing, dear, in the road test, you will see like pedestrian is always have right of way. So sometimes, you know, pedestrian is crossing and you are making turns and you said you were going, you're not letting pedestrian cross. Do not do that. Let pedestrian cross, then you make turn. Okay, so always remember that pedestrian have always right of way in the stop sign or something, because that's like mostly student do like you know, take wrong decision. Any questions so far? So I will go to the turning. Any questions so far?
No.
All right. So I will go straight through, then I'll put the videos, okay?
Yeah.
So I will go to the turning. Do you know how long is the road test?
No.
Guess how much, how long
15 minutes? Is it 15 minutes?
No.
Is it 45 minutes?
You will melt. If it's 45 minutes, you will melt, sweetheart.
Takes to
Uh,
8 minutes.
Maximum 7 to 10 minutes. Max.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, they will ask you couple of turnings, one parking and one broken U-turn. That's about it. They will not ask you any question. They are very fair. They are not like hard or easy or something. They are not like they will not ask you any question at all. So it's just, you know, whatever you know, you do it. If you do not like understand anything, just ask them, excuse me, would you repeat? That's all. Just they will do it. And also this is the new thing, they will not tell you like right way the what you call result these days. Before they used to let you know right way, you pass or fail. Now you have to come back and take a look at 5 o'clock. They will give you a website and you have to put the date of birth and your ID number, and you will find out like, you know, at 5 o'clock that you pass or fail. All right.
Mm.
So let me explain you the turning. If inspector tell you to make a right turn, each time inspector talk, we will put the signal. So if we forgetting the signal, it is 5 points. Sometimes we don't get any points, but we fail. Why is that? Because if we touch the card, anytime we touch the card, we automatically fail. If we do not stop in a stop sign, automatically fail. Each time inspector hit the brake, we fell. Why? Why is that? I didn't get any point. Why I fell? Like if somebody like pull my ear with that, it comes nose, it come eye, it come mouth, it come cheek, it come with my full head. It's like that because you are a dangerous driver. You didn't like, you know, do proper thing. You do not have no control. So inspector had to take a control. That's why, because you can maximum lose 30 points. 30 points is the borderline. You can pass or fail. You understand? So each time we are forgetting like signal, you are losing 5 points. That's not a major mistake. That's a little mistake. We can forgetting like 1 or 2 signal. That's not a like huge thing, like, you know, to do the mistake. But if you are like pedestrian crossing and you didn't brake on time, if inspector has to break it, it's a huge thing. It can get like, you know, you can have an accident. So that's why, like, you didn't get any point, but you fell right then and there. sometimes you know what why I said like GSSL, like people think it's a silly why she's saying like GSSL. Of course some can change the gear, of course some can do this thing, but people the road test time people get nervous. It's natural thing to get nervous. So many times people like they did not start properly. It's halfway they put the ignition on and they did not do the full way. The key did not like crank up to the full. They do the halfway. Then after that, what they do, they try to move the gear to the drive. Gear will not come these days. Before it was different. Now these days is different. And they try to bring the gear, car wouldn't come. So inspector will say like, do it, start the engine. Some inspector are good, they will say it, start the engine. So they try to do the start engine, it will not. So you have to bring it back and do it again. So that's the way it should be because it's electronics. So they cannot do it because they are nervous now. Or sometimes, like, people do the start the engine and they're forgetting the gear and they are pressing the gas. They're forgetting to put the gear to the drive. And they will just sit down. The inspector, they just sit down. They will wait like couple of seconds. They will just turn up and they will come back. They'll just get out from there within like couple of 1 minute. You just fell. And the student come back from the come out from the car and they said, "Oh, you didn't put gas on the car. Car didn't go nowhere." That's the way they said because he's nervous. It's happened so many times. It's not they're dumb. They don't know anything because it's nervousness. And also another thing is suggestion that don't tell whole world that you are taking the test like that particular day. That give you more nervousness. That give you more peer pressure. So that's the thing, So that's why the turning, it's like, you each time they talk like, they are telling you to do something, you have to put the signal. So if they are telling you to put the make it a right turn. So we are putting the right signal. So now we have to make a right turn. So turning rule is we have to make a turn on the closest lane. So right turn is on the all the way to the right, all the way to the right lane. Now left turn is little bit different than the right turn. So left turn is always L-shaped turn. Now left turn is we have to put the left signal. We will go middle of the street and we have our left signal on. And while we are waiting on the middle of the street, our steering wheel will be straight. Why? Because if somebody bump us from the back, if we have our steering wheel turned towards the left, the car will go other side of the street. And now what will happen? Somebody will, whoever is come from other side of the street, they can bump us from the front to front. So to avoid that, while we are waiting middle of the car, middle of the street, our steering wheel should be straight. So left turn is L-shaped turn and left turn while we are waiting on middle of the street, our steering wheel should be straight. And when nobody is coming from our right hand side, we are turning all the way to the left lane or closest to the yellow lane. Okay, so right turn will be all the way to the right lane. Left turn is L-shaped turn and closest to the yellow lane or all the way to the left lane. That's the way to the turning. So always remember, turning rule is turn has to be or to your closest lane. All right. And now is broken U-turn. Broken U-turn, key turn, and 3-point turn. It's exactly same thing. So how we do it? We like if they say make a broken U-turn, what we do? We put the signal and pull over to the street. Now we put the signal to the left, and steering wheel will be all the way to the left. We have to see, make sure no car is coming from the front, make sure no car is coming from the back, and we have to check our blind spot. When we see nobody is coming, if we put little bit gas, the car will go other side of the street. Okay. Now we have to put our gear to the reverse. There is a rule over here. Each time we put our gear to the reverse, we have to see through our right hand shoulder. That means we have to see our back. So always we put our gear to the reverse, take a look through your right hand shoulder. Now we have to put our steering wheel all the way to the right, and this time necessary to put the signal. You just look, make sure, look back and go back. Okay. When you have enough space at the front, stop right there. Put your gear to the drive and drive up. That's the way the broken U-turn is. And if you have enough space at the street, do not make the U-turn. They do not ask you to make the U-turn. So that's the way it's broken U-turn. Okay. So they will ask you couple of turning, broken U-turn, and parking. Parking is always parallel parking. Okay. You have to go next to the car and you have to park. So you have to go next to the car and one full circle to the side of the park. So one full circle towards the right, and gear has to be R, which is the reverse. Make sure no car is coming from the front. Make sure no car is coming from the back. Check your blind spot. When you see everything is clear, then you go back. When you see 45-degree angle from the car or parked car back bumper matching with your car's front bumper, stop right there. Now you have to do 2 full circle towards your left to bring your car's front bumper inside. When you see, you go more back and your gear would be on the reverse as well. When you car is straight, you stop right there. Now you put your gear to the drive and drive up. That's the way it should be. Car should be not more than 1 foot away. And if it's too far away and too close away, if you are learning, they will teach you how to fix it as well. Even it's to hear it, if you think it's too hard, it's not hard. Hardest part is the turning. Turning is the hardest part of the driving, because it's different situation, different street, different, sometimes it's double park, too narrow, too thin. Parking is not hard also. It's not hard at all. So that's the way the road test is. Any questions so far? Any question?
No, thank you.
I more or less understand, ma'am.
I'm
And-
sorry, I didn't hear you, dear.
We understand, but my thing is that when we practical drive it, then more clear.
I know. I'm gonna that absolutely. The driving is, even this is the theory. driving is the you have to do the practical to understand. Also, I'm going to put the video. You will understand more.
More.
I'll put the video.
Right.
I'll put the video. Anything? Any question? Let me put the video so you will feel it more. You can see? Can you able to see?
Yes.
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 Okay. Can you able to hear?
Yes.
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 I'll go. I'll put more trucks behind me.
When you're behind the wheel, your job as driver is to pick out information that will help you arrive safely at your destination. There are hundreds of images along the roadway that help you find your way. Most come in the form of traffic control signs, signals, and lane markings. Recognizing these can give you advance notice of changes ahead, such as merges, reductions in speed, or upcoming intersections. Knowing what they mean allows you to anticipate and react to changing traffic conditions so you can drive more safely. This video is based on the national standards that cover most traffic situations. However, to handle unique circumstances, each highway agency may create its own signs, signals, and lane markings. This video will show the underlying rules and logic behind traffic signs, signals, and lane markings, and why they are important to you. Signs provide a driver with a lot of useful information. The shape and color allow the sign's meaning to be recognized even from a distance. For example, both the shape and color of this sign tell you to stop. As a rule, the color red indicates stop or conveys a significant prohibition. Black and white signs provide regulatory information. Their placement also marks where the regulation goes into effect. For example, this end school zone sign indicates when it is safe to return to the posted speed limit. Accelerating when you first see this sign violates the law. You must wait until you have passed the sign before you can accelerate. Violating any regulatory or prohibition sign can get you into serious trouble. Yellow signs provide warnings. They alert you to curves, speed limit changes, crossings, slippery roads, and other conditions where a little warning goes a long way. Yellow diamond-shaped warning signs might also appear before prohibition or regulatory signs to warn you of a change. An orange sign tells you you're in a construction zone. A symbol usually found on signs of other colors or shapes can sometimes show up on an orange sign. This conveys the same information, but with the additional warning to be extra cautious. Look for black and white regulatory signs to state the law, but consider the orange signs a warning to be extra alert. Begin to slow down to the reduced speed limit before you enter the zone. Follow the directions of lane change arrows, shoulder work ahead signs, changeable message signs, and be alert for no shoulder and bump signs. By slowing down in construction zones, you not only lower your risk, you also increase safety for highway construction and maintenance workers, dozens of whom are killed each year by motor vehicles passing through construction zones. Conditions can change rapidly in construction zones, so when the signs say slow down, slow down. Green signs tell you the distance or directions to cities, alternate routes, or other destination information. Blue signs provide service-related information, such as where to find food, lodging, and gas. Brown signs tell you of a recreation facility such as a park, campground, fishing site, or boat launch. Now let's look at some regulatory and warning signs that are frequently misunderstood or convey special meanings. Let's start with reduced speed and curve signs. Slowing down to the advisory speed before entering the curve helps you navigate it safely and smoothly. A 90-degree arrow means the upcoming turn is sharp, and the speed for safely navigating the turn is posted. A curved arrow indicates a more shallow turn. You may still need to reduce your speed depending on weather conditions. Chevron alignment signs guide you through curves where the roadway may be obscured. Follow the series to stay on the road. Several regulatory signs deserve special attention. Yield signs and entrance or exit ramp signs tell you to adjust your speed and look for a safe merging opportunity. Traffic on the highway and exiting vehicles have the right-of-way over incoming and merging traffic. Unless absolutely necessary, avoid stopping on the ramp when merging. Restricted access lanes are marked with black and white regulatory signs containing a white diamond. There's usually a white diamond painted on the roadway as well. This sign indicates a restricted lane for specially designated vehicles. Do not enter a restricted access lane unless you qualify to be there. If you need to make a turn across such a lane in city traffic, enter at the last possible moment, a half block or less from the turn. HOV stands for High Occupancy Vehicles. Only vehicles with the required number of occupants may travel in HOV lanes. Signs will indicate the minimum number of occupants, as well as the times when the restriction is in effect. HOV lanes may also have a diamond painted on the roadway. And pay particular attention to signs and signals for reversible lanes. These lanes are used to move traffic in one direction for a period of time, then in the opposite direction during another point of time. The signs tell you the correct direction of traffic and when the direction changes. However, stay alert. Don't assume that the opposing drivers are paying attention. Now let's look at some unique situations that require special signs. Tunnels usually have specific traffic control signs, such as minimum and maximum speeds, prohibited cargo, and the appropriate use of headlights or sunglasses. The signs you see when approaching a toll plaza tell you how far away the plaza is. what the safe approach speed is, and which lanes are for cars and trucks, and other useful information. In the United States, there are nearly 100,000 railroad crossings that are not equipped with gates or signals. It's important to be cautious when taking a railroad crossing. If a railroad crossing does not have flashing lights and barricades, slow down and look both ways before crossing the tracks. Each year, hundreds of people are killed in collisions between motor vehicles and trains. Remember, it's difficult to accurately judge the speed of an oncoming train, and trains cannot slow down for you. For your own safety and the safety of others, it's important that you observe, understand, and follow all cautionary and restrictive signs when approaching a tunnel, toll plaza, or railroad grade crossing. These situations are well marked because there is very little room for error. Next, we are going to look at non-vehicular signs. Most of these signs refer to pedestrians and bicyclists. Walk, don't walk signals tell pedestrians when it's permissible to cross. If you're turning into their path, you must yield the right of way to them in this situation. Stop before the vehicle stop line or crosswalk painted on the roadway. Be prepared to stop for any pedestrian who enters a crosswalk, and learn to expect and to stop for pedestrians not in crosswalks. Your caution could save a life. A warning sign is often placed ahead of the crosswalk so you have adequate warning of the crossing zone. Another warning sign is placed at the crosswalk itself. The lines on the sign indicate the close location of the crosswalk markings. Whether you are in a residential neighborhood or at a busy intersection, be alert for inattentive pedestrians, especially children who are less predictable. In school zones, signs tell you when to reduce your speed and when it's safe to increase it again. Wait until you pass the end school zone or speed limit sign before resuming your speed. Finally, animal crossing signs tell you to slow down and look out. Animals behave unpredictably. For example, deer freeze when they see headlights, so be extra cautious when you see an animal crossing sign, especially at dawn or dusk when wild animals are more likely to be present. When driving, be sure to use both the sign's shape and color to obtain important traffic safety information. Some of the most important information you see on the road is in the form of traffic signals. Traffic signals control the flow of traffic at intersections. Throughout the United States, you may turn right at a red traffic signal after you have come to a complete stop, unless prohibited by a sign or signal. As you turn right on red, watch out for pedestrians and cross traffic from the left. You must yield the right-of-way to pedestrians. If a traffic signal turns yellow while you're approaching an intersection, stop before entering the intersection if you can do so safely without causing a rear-end collision. If you are already in the intersection when the signal turns yellow, continue through the intersection. But it's not safe to accelerate to get through an intersection before the signal turns from yellow to red. Other traffic may not see you in time to avoid a collision. But what about flashing signal lights? A flashing yellow light means that you need to slow down and proceed through the intersection with caution. Keep in mind that cross traffic may not stop even though they are supposed to. Always treat a flashing red light as a stop sign. Stop at the intersection and wait until there is an adequate break in traffic before entering the intersection. If the light is flashing red in all directions, treat it as an all-way stop sign. If two or more drivers arrive simultaneously at an all-way stop sign, you must yield the right-of-way to the driver to your right. If possible, establish eye contact with the other driver to communicate your intentions. If the intersection has no signs or the traffic control signal is not working, treat it as an all-way stop. Some traffic signals tell you when you may proceed in a specific direction. For example, if there is a red arrow or red light on the signal controlling your lane, you must stop even though traffic traveling in the same direction in the next lane may have a green signal. An arrow on the signal tells you that you have a protected turn and that opposing traffic has been signaled to not cross your path. If the green left turn arrow goes off and no red light or red arrow appears, you may still turn left, but you must now yield to opposing traffic. Look for a safe opening to make your turn. Be sure that the light is still green when you move into the intersection. But if the light turns yellow while you're in the intersection, you're allowed to finish making your turn. Finally, if a police officer or crossing guard is present, their directions overrule the traffic signal. These general guidelines about traffic signals are always subject to local laws. Check the local ordinances for any variations in traffic laws. Be sure to stay alert for signal lights. They can make the difference between being involved in a crash and avoiding one. Lane markings or painted messages are the way streets communicate. There are two general rules about markings that tell you where you may and may not drive. The first rule is that white lines are on the right side of each traffic lane, and yellow lines are on the left. The second rule is that solid or unbroken lines show you where you may not pass or change lanes. Dashed or broken lines indicate where you are permitted to pass or change lanes. For example, on a two-lane road, the solid white line to the right marks the edge of the roadway. The yellow line on the left separates you from oncoming traffic, but double solid yellow lines on your left means that it is not legal for either you or oncoming traffic to pass. If there is a dashed and solid line together and the dashed line is on your side of the road, you may pass traffic ahead of you if you can do so safely. However, opposing traffic is not allowed to cross the solid line. A single dashed yellow line on the left means that both you and the opposing traffic may pass. If you decide to pass, be sure that you have enough room to pass safely. Dashed and solid lines are also used to indicate a shared left turn lane. These lanes allow you to make turns from either direction without holding up traffic behind you. Enter these lanes as close to your intended turn as possible. Never use a shared left turn lane as a through lane. On multi-lane roads with medians, broken white lines usually separate the lanes going in the same direction. A single solid white line is intended to discourage but not prohibit you from changing lanes. However, in some states, crossing a single solid white line is illegal. These very short dashed white lines indicate a merge lane. You may need to make a lane change to continue straight ahead. Short white lines like these guide you through large, complex intersections. In addition to lane markings, you'll also often see reflectors. These are especially helpful at night or any time when it is hard to see the edges of the road. Whether dashed or solid, yellow or white, lane markings can help you position your vehicle for maximum safety. In addition to the color and shape of traffic signs, how the information appears can also be useful. Route signs mark federal interstates and other roadways, state highways, and county or municipal roadways. If you understand how routes are numbered and marked, you can always be in the right lane at the right time. The interstate system uses a shield symbol that is blue on the bottom with a red band across the top like this. The primary route number is either a single or double-digit number. North-south routes have odd numbers. East-west routes have even numbers. Spurs and loops extend from a primary interstate. A spur is a short route that connects with a primary route at only one end. It has a three-digit number that begins with an odd number. A loop is a route that meets the primary route at both ends. Its three-digit loop begins with an even number. Loops usually bypass cities or congested areas. U.S. routes that are not part of the interstate system have signs like this. The numbering system, however, is similar, odd for north-south routes and even for east-west routes. State, county, and municipal roadways use numbering systems similar to federal routes. However, the shape and color of route signs vary among states, counties, and municipalities. On limited access highways and some other roadways, exit signs are placed before the exit. These signs give you plenty of warning so you know what's ahead. Route signs are placed just after the entrance to a roadway. They help you orientate yourself and provide confirmation that you are on the right road. Milepost markers tell you your position on the route. They are located every mile along many major routes. These markers tell you the distance from the beginning of the route starting at the south or west state line, or from the junction at where the route begins. Use these mile markers if you need to call for help. Some states provide motorists with special cellular phone numbers to call in emergency situations. Whenever you drive, understanding the signs, signals, and lane markings that you see will help make your trip safer and easier. They can also help reduce your risk by giving you useful information well in advance of special situations. And remember to stay alert, pay attention, watch out for other roadway users, and always wear your safety belt.
Signs. They're everywhere along the roadway. Above us, below us, and to our side. Ryan Wickerham has more.
Some rules have exceptions, not this one. A red light means stop, period. Whether it's a regular stoplight, a flashing light, or a red arrow. A green light, whether it's a regular light or a green arrow, means go. But with a green light, there is an exception. You can't go until the intersection is clear. Clear of all cars, pedestrians, bicyclists. Then there is the yellow light.
A yellow light means speed up.
At a yellow light, if you're from out of town, slow down. If you're in your neighborhood, you might be able to keep going, but it only depends on the situation. But more or less, slow down.
Okay, let's get this straight. When you see a yellow light, slow down, then stop the stop line or crosswalk, if you can stop safely. How about this sign? It's pretty obvious what it means, or maybe not. Sit back and watch. Okay, I guess this guy stops for about a second. He stopped, but it's a good thing there was no one in the crosswalk. Let's see what this driver does. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And this one. And this one.
I believe people run stop signs because they don't realize they're there.
We just don't want to wait. We have to get there. We have to be somewhere by 4 and then be somewhere by 5 and be somewhere by 6. So we run them.
Where exactly should a driver stop when approaching a stop sign? In Texas, it depends on how the intersection is marked. There are 3 scenarios. 1, if there is a painted crosswalk, then stop before the crosswalk. 2, if there is no crosswalk, then stop before what is called the painted stop bar. That's the wide white paint strip on the pavement near the stop sign. The third scenario, if there is either a painted crosswalk or a painted stop bar. If you approach an intersection like this, then stop so that you have optimal visibility through the intersection. If visibility at the intersection is poor, first stop behind the stop sign. Then creep forward until you can see clearly. Sure enough, running stop signs or red lights is one of the biggest causes of crashes.
We're trying to do things that shortcut time as much as we can. And the biggest thing I see with drivers, they don't recognize what consequences could be.
Dr. Klein says not stopping at stop signs, like so many other driving problems, is habitual. And it takes a deliberate effort to change.
It takes us 28 times of doing it correctly to rechange that habit.
A yield sign. It means slow down. Be ready to stop. Let any traffic, pedestrians, or people on bicycles pass before you continue. A few other signs, do not enter, and one-way signs often appear near each other. If you're facing one of these signs, you're going the wrong way. Turn around or back up. These are prohibition signs. They simply mean no. No parking, no U-turns, and so on. Speed limit signs help regulate the flow of traffic. It's both dangerous and illegal to ever drive faster than the posted speed limit. It also is dangerous and illegal to drive the posted speed limit if the weather or other conditions make it hazardous to drive that fast. If it's rainy or foggy, for instance, you may need to slow down to 40 miles per hour, even though the speed limit says 70. Pay attention to minimum speed limits, too. Driving too slow can be a problem if you block the reasonable flow of traffic. In school zones, speed limits are usually 15 or 20 miles per hour. Keep an eye out for children and school buses. When school buses flash yellow lights, that's a sign that the bus is about to stop. It's your warning to prepare to stop. When the red lights on the school bus start flashing, you must stop, whether you are following or approaching the bus. Stay stopped until all children have safely gotten on or off the bus. A bus is a huge obstacle blocking a child from your view, and you from the child's. You cannot proceed until one of three things happen. Either the bus resumes motion, the bus driver signals you to proceed, or the bus lights stop flashing. Even then, use great caution. You never know when a child might trip and fall, or there might be some other unexpected event that would call for you to stay stopped. Also, be extra careful with your speed in residential areas. The speed limit is 30 miles per hour in most residential areas. Warning signs are generally diamond-shaped. They indicate warnings such as you are approaching crossroads, pedestrians may be ahead, or your lane is about to end. Then there is the round sign. It means check for a train.
It's the only round sign we have on the roadway, but it's the one we most frequently ignore.
Guide signs are blue, brown, or green and give directions to places such as rest areas, hospitals, and airports. So if you're on the road, odds are you won't have to look far to find some kind of sign giving some kind of important information. This is Ryan Wickerham.
You know how to drive, right? Of course you do. You drove here today. I'm not here to teach you that. You know how to drive safely as well, right? Of course you do. Everybody does. Traffic laws, pedestrians, moving distances, Obviously, not everybody knows how to drive safely. Or maybe they know how and choose not to. Which category do you fall into? We know you know how to drive safe, but do you? I mean, I know the speed limit's 65, but if I go 100 anyways, what does that knowledge get me? When you get right down to it, it's not really a matter of knowledge at all, but a matter of responsibility. You have a responsibility to yourself, your family, the company, other motorists, and their families to operate your vehicle in a manner that doesn't put you, them, or anybody else at risk. We'll cover a few things to make sure you're doing just that. We'll talk about safe driving techniques, stopping distances, distracted driving, and vehicle inspection and others. Motor vehicle accidents are the leading cause of death in the American worker. Improper speed, following too close, driving while intoxicated, or driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and failure to obey traffic signals are the leading causes of collisions. Speeding results in 12,000 traffic deaths per year. For every 10 miles per hour over 50 miles an hour, the risk of death is doubled. By following traffic safety laws, being aware, and using common sense, you can minimize your risk. Prior to getting in the vehicle, take a look around the vehicle. Note any damage to the vehicle or fluid leaks. One of the most critical parts of the inspection is the inflation, tread depth, and general condition of the tires. Tread depth can be easily measured by observing tread wear bars or using a penny to measure the remaining tread. If a part of Lincoln's head is covered, there's the minimum 230 seconds remaining. But remember, that's the bare minimum. Steer tires must have 430 seconds tread remaining. When starting the vehicle, note warning lights and gauges. Check and adjust mirrors and headrest prior to moving the vehicle. Make sure the windows are completely clear of snow, ice, and fog before starting to drive. First things first, always wear your seatbelt. Wearing a seatbelt is the single most important thing you can do to protect yourself in the event of a crash. Next, obey all posted speed limits at all times. If the sign says 55, how fast should you be traveling? Obvious, right? Not necessarily. In inclement weather such as rain, snow, or fog, the posted speed limit may not be safe. Slow down in inclement weather, and when the sun's out, do the speed limit. It may take your vehicle longer to stop than you may think. For this reason, we recommend a minimum of a 3-second following distance in dry conditions. To determine this distance, watch the rear bumper of the vehicle just ahead as it passes a stationary marker, such as a signpost or telephone pole, and count 1001, 1002, 1003. As you say 3, your front bumper should reach that marker. If you reach it before that point, reduce your speed by a few miles per hour and reach your check distance. Increase the following distance 1 second for each of the following conditions. Adverse weather conditions, heavy traffic, following a truck, night driving or poor visibility, being tailgated, and driving while stressed or fatigued. Plain and simple. Leave more cushion and slow down. Remember, your vehicle has areas called blind spots you cannot see without properly adjusted mirrors. Adjust your mirrors before you start your car, and be aware of your blind spots at all times. You should keep your eyes moving and scan your mirrors approximately every 5 to 10 seconds to keep a constantly updated picture of what's going on around you. Intersections are responsible for over 50% of all accidents. When approaching intersections, scan to the left, then to the right, and then back to the left for vehicles that may run a stop sign or light, or for pedestrians and bicyclists. Remember, always leave yourself an out. Anticipate what mistakes others may make and assume that they will make them. If there is a stop sign, make sure you come to a complete stop and let other vehicles with the right-of-way proceed. Don't force the issue. If the intersection is lighted, be aware of stale green lights. This means if the light has been green for some time, be ready for it to change to yellow and adjust your speed accordingly. When stopping at an intersection, stop so you can see the rear tires of the vehicle in front of you. This will allow extra space in front of you in case the vehicle behind you bumps into you. Also, if the vehicle in front stalls, you'll have room to maneuver around the vehicle. When traffic starts, delay your start for 2 seconds after the vehicle in front of you starts to move. This will give you time to react if the vehicle in front of you suddenly stops. When following trucks, or when stopped behind a truck, stay back far enough so that you can see both of the truck's rear view mirrors. If you cannot see their mirrors, they cannot see you. Also, following a truck too closely means you cannot scan ahead. Avoid aggressive driving, speeding, tailgating, failure to signal a lane change, running red lights and stop signs, weaving in traffic, yelling, making obscene gestures, excessive use of the horn. Each of these are hazardous and can result in accidents and injuries. When behind a slow driver, do not tailgate. Pass only if safe and legal to pass. If the vehicle is swerving, it may mean they're distracted, fatigued, lost, or under the influence. Be ready for someone to change lanes or stop unexpectedly. By anticipating hazards, you'll increase your safety and the safety of your passengers. In the same way, you need to make sure that you don't create the same hazards. Always signal before changing lanes and avoid abrupt braking. By planning ahead, you're making the roads safer for you and the other vehicles around you. On a two-lane road, you should only pass another vehicle when absolutely necessary. Never pass when there is limited visibility. No passing zones, school zones, railroad crossings, intersections, or bridges and tunnels. When passing, observe the 3-second following rule before passing in order to give visibility around the vehicle being passed. Wait for clear space of oncoming traffic and when it is legal to pass. Signal intention. Check the rear mirrors and blind spots to make sure you're behind you. It's not trying to pass at the same time. Pull out into oncoming lanes and quickly accelerate, but do not exceed the speed limit. Pull back into the lane when you can see the vehicle you just passed in your rearview mirror. When passing a truck, increase the distance before pulling back into your lane so that you can see in your rearview mirror the pavement between you and the truck. The point is to be ready to make good driving decisions yourself and be ready to make up for the mistakes of other drivers. It doesn't matter whose fault an accident is if you or your family is seriously injured or killed. It's your responsibility to drive defensively to avoid an accident, even if another driver makes a mistake. Do not drive in adverse weather unless absolutely necessary. If you have to drive, keep windows clear of ice, snow, and fog. Use the what-if strategy. Always have a way out. Remember, shaded road areas may be icy and bridges and overpasses ice first in winter. Proceed over these with caution. Reduce speed. Remember, the posted speed limit is for ideal conditions and adjust following distances an extra second. Keep emotions under control, even if you're late for an appointment. Make sure your headlights are on in the rain. In fog or snow, they should be on low beam. If your vehicle starts to skid, ease off the accelerator. Turn the steering wheel in the direction you want the vehicle to go. If the vehicle has ABS brake system, keep foot firmly on the brake. You may hear a popping sound or feel vibration on the foot pedal. That's okay. If non-ABS brakes, pump the brake pedal. Hydroplaning or aquaplaning occurs when a layer of water builds between the tires of the vehicle and on the road surface, leading to the loss of traction, preventing the vehicle from responding to control inputs such as steering, braking, or accelerating. In the rain, if your car begins to hydroplane, release the accelerator. Do not brake. Steer in the direction you want the car to go. So now we've established you need to use your eyes while you drive. What are you using your eyes for? Looking at the scenery? Not good. Checking your email or looking at your laptop? Really bad idea. Texting your significant other? Not good either. Do you want to wake up in the middle of the night in a panic thinking about how your texting resulted in the loss of life? Scenery, email, laptops, friends, spouses, these are all good things. Great things, actually. Just not while you're driving. Why? That's easy. Distracted driving results in 1.4 million crashes a year, and it's against company policy. Let's start with the emails and laptops. Of course, you shouldn't be checking your email, reading your email, playing solitaire, or anything else on a computer while you drive. You know this. If you're the type of person who just can't resist, keep your computer closed and in the case. No more temptation and one less potential crash. Look, we know you're busy. We get that. But that's no excuse for distracted driving. Cell phones. Can't get by today without one. But did you know drivers that use cell phones are 4 times as likely to get into crashes serious enough to injure themselves or others? 4 times. The odds are not in your favor. Simply reaching for the phone to make or receive a call or dialing numbers takes drivers' eyes off the road. This distraction might only last a second, but it'll move 35 miles an hour. On 1 second, they've lost more than 50 feet of stopping distance. Being on the phone is distracting, but you've got a Bluetooth and that makes you safe, right? Well, actually, no. It does allow you to keep both hands on the wheel, but studies have shown that there's absolutely no difference. Even with a hands-free device, cell phone use reduces the amount of brain activity associated with driving by 37%. If you need to talk to someone, pull over to a safe area, stop your car, and talk. That way, you take care of business, but you don't put yourself or others at risk. The caller will appreciate it, since you can now devote your full attention to the caller. But I'm not texting. This is a BlackBerry. Doesn't matter. Using a keyboard or reading the screen of a wireless communication device, such as a BlackBerry, is prohibited. Just like regular cell phones, the only time these devices may be used is if the vehicle has been pulled safely off to the side of the road. Cell phones are not the only thing in a car that gets our attention and takes our eyes off the road. Changing radio stations, inserting CDs in the player, looking for things in the glove box, programming the GPS. Even personal grooming or smoking are common distracted driving hazards. Avoid these activities unless parked. Now let's talk about another real hazard on the road, falling asleep. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration data indicates that in recent years, there have been about 56,000 crashes annually in which driver drowsiness or fatigue was cited by police. Annual averages of roughly 40,000 non-fatal injuries and 1,550 fatalities resulted from these crashes. These statistics are probably exhibit the same increased reaction times and poor judgment as a driver who is legally intoxicated. The point is, get plenty of rest. You'll do a better job and be a better driver. If you're tired of get out and walk around your car if you're on a long trip. You should stop about every 2 hours or less. You can avoid unnecessary backing by pulling through a parking space so you do not have to back out. If you must back, it is better to back in when you approach your destination instead of backing out when leaving. But if you must back up, before getting into the vehicle, walk around the vehicle to make sure there is nothing in the way before backing. Back slowly and carefully. If you are involved in a vehicle accident, never leave the scene. Call emergency personnel if necessary. Do not attempt to move an injured person unless there is a life-threatening situation, such as a fire, and the occupant is unable to get out. Do not admit guilt or discuss whose fault the accident was. If your company has an accident reporting kit, make sure you use it. Take photos of the accident scene showing vehicle locations, direction of travel, vehicle and other property damage, location of traffic control device, the license plate of the vehicles involved, etc. Depending on state law, move your vehicle to the side of the road if there are no injuries or minor damage. Obtain names, phone numbers of all involved parties and witnesses. Have witnesses write out what they saw. Obtain insurance information of all parties involved. Insurance company name, policy number, telephone number, expiration date, name of insured on the policy. If the police are on the scene, obtain police officer's name, badge number, police report file number, and phone number. Once you have gathered the required information, contact your supervisor. Remember, every driver and passenger on the road is someone's family. You are in control of your vehicle. Don't give up control to your emotions or to other drivers. Control your actions and how you deal with traffic, weather, and emotions. The average driver will be involved in 6 collisions in a lifetime. Don't be average. Have we covered every possible situation you may face on the road? Of course not. That's why it's so important to use your common sense and good judgment at all times. Remember these 7 habits of defensive driving. Always wear your seatbelt. Continuously evaluate driving conditions. Scan ahead and use the what-if strategy. Maintain personal control, even if other drivers don't. Observe the 3-second following distance rule. Recognize hazards, understand the defensive measures, and act. Be patient with other drivers. Courtesy, respect, and dignity. Thanks for watching.
I couldn't wait. Couldn't wait.
I was really excited. I got my license the day that I could.
Oh, the minute he could. It was awesome. I'm pretty sure the first place I went when I got my license was Taco Bell. I was really excited. I went and drove everywhere to a friend's house so I could show off.
Having that freedom, go wherever you want to go.
You don't have to depend on your parents anymore.
Going on dates or something, you don't have to have your mom driving you. It's just one less thing they have to worry about. I can just leave my house and I don't really have to tell her like what I'm doing. It's fun to be with your friends in your car and listen to music. 16 is when you start to become more mature. Yeah. I think.
Teenagers in the United States get their licenses earlier than in most other countries, and they have easier access to cars once they're licensed. In many families, giving the car keys to a newly licensed driver means not only freedom for the teenager, but also relief for the parents from seemingly endless chauffeuring duties. But it comes with a potentially high price.
Crashes are the #1 cause of death among teens. Per mile driven, the crash rate for teen drivers is 4 times the crash rate for adults. It's higher still at night, and it's higher when there are other teens riding in the vehicle. It's the highest still right after they get their license. In fact, the crash rate for 16-year-olds is twice as high as the crash rate for 18 and 19-year-olds. During the learner permit, when teens are doing practice driving with their parents in the car, crash rates are really low. That's a very safe way for teens to drive. But once the teen begins to drive without their parent in the car, crash rates skyrocket. Teens are inexperienced drivers. They're more likely to speed.
I think it's fun.
Going 80, 85.
I end up rushing a lot.
They make more driving errors.
I almost hit a person like a week ago.
They take corners too fast.
Yeah, I flipped over my car.
They may follow too closely. They're not always able to handle a hazardous situation that pops up for the first time. Driving in bad weather, for example.
It was raining outside, and we like skidded and like slid.
An adult driver just has more experience handling a situation like that. Teen drivers tend to minimize their risk and overestimate their driving ability.
I think I'm a good driver.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a pretty good driver.
I think I'm a pretty good driver.
I would say I'm a good driver for now.
And that can get them into trouble.
She just loved people. she made friends easy, and she had a lot of friends. Brenda was a good student. She loved to learn. She was really looking forward to going to college. And I never will forget when she had been watching the mail close for her acceptance letter to see if she got into JMU. And she went to the mailbox that day and she came on back. She come through that door and she said, "Yes, yes, yes." And she opened up the envelope, and she looked and she read it. I can see her now. She just, "Yes, yes, yes," she said. It was a beautiful January day. The sky was so pretty and blue and the sun was bright. And it was just a lovely day. And that particular day, she didn't have to be to school till 11 o'clock. She sit there and she ate a bowl of cereal and she changed clothes 3 times before she left. When she got in the truck, she put a seatbelt on. When she sit in a vehicle, if she was going to drive or if she was riding, she always put a seatbelt on. And anyway, that morning the police scanner was on, and I just, in the back of my mind, I heard them say that there had been a bad accident on Route 130. And I get on down there, and there's a fireman in the road, directing traffic, and I can see a truck, and I could see the bumper, and I saw the sticker. And I knew it was our truck. So I pulled over to the side of the road, and I asked that fireman, I said, "The little girl driving that truck," I said, "is she hurt bad?" He said, "Are you kin to her?" I said, "Yes, I'm her mother." And by that time, 2 rescue squad workers, one got one side of me and one got on the other side. And I said, the little girl driving that truck, I said, "Is she hurt bad?" And the woman said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "Is she dead?" She said, "Yes, ma'am."
Brandy was an inexperienced driver who died in a crash just 1 month after getting her license. Inexperience contributes to many crashes involving beginners. For 16-year-olds, the first few months of driving is when the risk is highest. Many parents think that driver education is a good way to address some of this risk. It's a good and convenient way to help new drivers learn skills, but parents shouldn't rely on it because poor skills aren't always to blame. Many crashes with young drivers involve their attitudes, not their skills.
New drivers of any age have a higher crash risk, but the issue for teens is that they're coupling that driving inexperience with immaturity.
I love to blast my music in the car.
They're young.
Driving a car, it's like riding a bike.
They may be prone to risk-taking.
I drive real reckless.
The combination of driving inexperience and immaturity is a lethal combination. It leads to a much higher crash risk for new teen drivers.
She got her license on her 16th birthday. She got the car on her 16th birthday. She waited more. We were just as anxious for her to have her license as she was to have her license. She was probably the kind of child that every parent would hope to have. She took everything life had to offer and made the most of it. She had danced for almost 15 years. She had been a competitor in gymnastics, percussionist in the band, and she loved everything she did, and she could never get enough. Unfortunately, Shannon was 16. She was a teenager behind the wheel. She was going to a slumber party that night, and Shannon had a passenger in the car, and her friend had passed her, and probably a combination of, let me see what my little 4-cylinder car can do. Rebecca saying, "Come on, Shannon, pass Heidi." And as Shannon tried to pass Heidi, Heidi moved over so Shannon couldn't get by her. Shannon lost control of the car, and she was hooked up to life support for 24 hours, but she got caught up in the spirit of the moment. A little bit of peer pressure. A lot of being a teenager and thinking you're invincible. It won't happen to me. Shannon's crash was like many other serious ones involving teenagers. It was at night, and it involved speeding and thrill-seeking. Graduated licensing restrictions on young beginning drivers help prevent some of these crashes, and so can restrictions imposed by parents.
The concept behind graduated licensing is to ease teens into driving so that they gain experience in low-risk situations. So the first stage of graduated licensing is a learner's permit. During this period, the parent or another adult is in the car. Then the next stage is what would be called an intermediate license. And this is the stage where the teen first begins to drive without their parent in the vehicle. But graduated licensing limits that driving.
The best graduated licensing systems require 50 or more hours of supervised driving during the learner stage, licensure at 16.5 years or older, and limitations on night driving and driving with other teenagers in the vehicle until the beginning driver is 18.
All states now have some elements of graduated licensing. And research study after study has found that graduated licensing laws are highly effective in reducing teen crashes. The stronger the graduated licensing law, the bigger the crash reductions.
These kinds of legal restrictions, reinforced by parents, let young beginners be mobile and get driving experience. But they do so under conditions of controlled risk. Protecting young people while they're learning to drive is really the essence of these restrictions. Graduated licensing programs around the country have reduced crashes of teenage drivers up to 30%. But in many states, the restrictions imposed by the laws are still weak. For example, many nighttime crashes of young drivers happen between 9 p.m. and midnight. But the driving restrictions in many states begin at midnight or 1 a.m. And some states don't restrict teen passengers, even though the risk of a crash goes up with even one passenger in the car. And with multiple teen passengers, the risk is 3 to 5 times greater than when a teenager drives alone. Driving around with groups of teenagers at any time of the day is a bad idea. And the highest risk for young drivers is after 9 o'clock at night with other teens in the car. This is when inexperience and immaturity are most likely to lead to dangerous behavior.
Gabriel always had a smile on his face, and so did everybody around him. The very best of kids. Followed the rule, kept the rules. Everybody loved him. The driver was driving too fast. It was one of Gabriel's favorite songs on the radio. So it's party time, and she was in the back seat. And he was in the front seat, dancing with her. He was up dancing with her. The driver might well have been distracted by that. Gabriel was not wearing a seatbelt. He always wore a seatbelt. He used to tell me to wear a seatbelt. It's late at night, multiple teenagers, radio going on, and not much experience in driving. And here he was in a moment of carelessness. An unguarded moment of carelessness. You know, when he was dancing in a car, instead of looking straight ahead with a seatbelt on, he was dancing with the girl in the back seat. And the driver was carried away also with the party that was going on in his car, is what happened to 16-year-olds. And the driver was not seriously hurt physically. The little girl was not seriously hurt physically. Gabriel's not here anymore.
Gabriel wasn't even driving. He was a passenger having fun in the car with other teenagers. Letting your teenager ride with a teen driver is very risky, and Gabriel wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Belt use by teenagers is lower than for adults, and for teen passengers, it's particularly low. Most teens who are killed in crashes aren't using their seatbelts. This is why parents should insist on belt use all the time for everyone in the car. Parents have a critical role during the very dangerous first year of driving. They have much more influence than is typically credited to them.
Parents are still the key decision makers about their teens driving.
With or without a strong graduated licensing law, parents can establish effective rules. First, know the law. Become familiar with your state's restrictions on young drivers, and then enforce them.
Parents are the chief enforcers of their state's licensing laws, and they can supplement the laws with other rules that limit nighttime driving and teen passengers.
There's a midnight curfew. It's 10 o'clock for us.
They have a very strong influence on how their teen learns to drive.
Take every opportunity to drive with them in bad weather, darkness.
You try to cover all the different driving situations your teen might encounter, so that the first time your child is in that situation, they've had practice and they know what to expect and how to respond. One of the most important decisions a parent can make is when they allow their teen to get a license.
It's not a given that once you turn 16, you'll be able to get your license.
Even though your teen may be pressuring you to get the license as soon as possible, the longer you can wait to let your teen begin to drive, the safer your teen will be.
It's been beaten into our heads enough, and drinking and driving is beyond stupid.
Parents should insist on no alcohol. Teenagers are less likely than adults to drive after drinking, but their crash risk is much higher when they do.
Distractions are a common factor in the crashes of newly licensed teen drivers. Cell phones and texting, for example, are a problem for teens because it takes their attention away from the driving task. And almost half of teens have reported that they've texted while driving, and even more have said that they've talked on phones while driving.
I do text and drive on phone. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
You know, when you get that buzz or that ring, it's a habit. It's just a reflex to go and check your phone.
It is really distracting, and you try so hard not to look at the text.
There are a growing number of states that have laws banning cell phones for young drivers, but young drivers often ignore those bans.
This is one reason laws aren't sufficient. Another reason is that cell phones and texting aren't the only distractions.
It's really easy for me to get distracted with other people in my car, the music.
You know, you're constantly looking down at your GPS or fumbling with the papers in your hands.
Eating. I can't eat and drive. It's so hard.
Anything that takes attention away from the driving task is going to be more problematic for young drivers.
Parents need to send a clear message to their teens that they need to focus on driving.
One of the most important decisions parents make about their teens driving is the vehicle that they'll drive. And there are several features of vehicles that make a difference. The vehicle should be midsize or larger. They should avoid really small vehicles. They should avoid sporty vehicles. And they should avoid pickups because these vehicles have a tendency to roll over and they're harder to handle.
The best vehicle choice for your teen is one with the latest safety technology, including side airbags that protect people's heads and electronic stability control. Teenagers often don't perceive they're at risk, and they think they're invincible.
You don't think that it's ever going to happen to you.
It won't happen to me. I'm young, I'm healthy, nothing bad's gonna happen to me.
Attitudes like this, combined with immaturity and peer pressure, can lead any teenager to drive irresponsibly. Their driving behavior is likely to be far different from when parents are in the car.
If I'm in the car with my mom, I'll drive the speed limit and make sure I turn on all my blinkers and everything. But if you're in a car with your friends on a Friday night, some of those things just kind of go out the window a little bit.
Graduated licensing programs are an important step toward reducing the risks for beginning drivers. But the role of parents is critical during the very dangerous first years of driving. We know what works. Restrictions on driving after 9 or 10 at night, and not allowing teenage passengers. These restrictions don't keep teens from getting to after-school activities or to work, but they do cut down on some of the most dangerous kinds of recreational driving.
Parents may not recognize how important their decisions are. Our research suggests that teens will stay safer when their parents stay involved.
We were taking a turn at 70, even though it's advised to take it at 35 or whatever. And like, we just lost control and like just flipped, but we were all good.
We were in his driveway. He is in reverse and he floors it and he crashes into a tree.
She didn't have her headlights on and it was nighttime. And I was like, you know, you need to turn those on. And she just continued to drive with them off.
There was an island there, and so I went over the island.
Really wasn't paying attention, and I just made a right and almost hit like 3 little kids.
It doesn't affect me directly. I'm not going to worry about it until it does.
You just keep going, but you never really get over it. You never really. It's no way in the world you can get over losing somebody, especially a child.
Hello, my name is E.O.K. Gregory. I'm the president of the Wilmington City Council.
Hello, my name is Joe Divis, and I'm with AT&T. The documentary you're about to see involves 4 accidents of texting while driving, 2 of them fatal, each of them preventable. It is part of the It Can Wait campaign involving AT&T and other organizations with one simple message. No text message is worth endangering your life or the lives of others.
As always, the Wilmington City Council is concerned about the safety of its citizens. Recognize the risk in driving while texting, so please don't text and drive.
Go to www.itcanwait.com for more information. Tell your family and friends. Take the pledge not to text and drive. And thank you for watching.
I had my brother in my hand, and all of a sudden, my hand was empty.
Xavier is now 8. We call him X. He is to us the mighty X-Man, yes. X, as a little person, from the time that he hit the floor in the morning until you had to forcefully to almost tie him down at night, he was running back and forth, extremely energetic. He could call football plays. He loved the Green Bay Packers. I could turn the game on and sit him in front of it and do house chores. You know, most people sit their babies in front of Sesame Street. I could sit X in front of a game. He would have been an excellent athlete. I was always looking forward to being in the stand screaming X, 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 X. That was Mom's dream, to be screaming from a football stand. He's just arriving from school now. I gotta have him back. I gotta know how school went. I gotta know today's Friday, so I need to know if he got 106 on his spelling test, which he almost always does. X is paralyzed from the diaphragm down. In the accident, part of his spinal cord was dissipated. His legs are gone. His chair are his legs now. the use of his right hand is partial. He woke up actually from the coma a lefty. He went in a righty. He missed his brainstem by that much. X is on life support. The ventilator has to breathe for my son. Most nights, I'm here on the couch, listening for the ventilator, listening to making sure that all the breaths are right, that his PEEP on his doesn't change, that he doesn't need suctioning during the night. I hear everything. I hear everything. I can hear the ventilator change cycles. I can hear just the breath sound different. And my daughter's you good. Boy, you got good ears. There are times when the pain is so bad, I can't breathe. I want to say the worst thing that I can't say to X, which I used to be able to say all the time, go in the yard and play. I can't say that anymore. Because if we go play, we need to take the suction machine. We need to transfer him over to the ventilator for his chair. Before we can do anything, we need to do that first. It's a production. I can't say go play. Any mother understands. I can't say go play. He comes to life when she comes in the room. Hey. X doesn't remember as well as both Ari and I do, but Ari was walking across the street with Xavier on that October day. We pray that that never happens to another brother, sister. We pray that another child doesn't get taken from a family member's hand.
She came from this direction, and at first we didn't even see her.
The cars on the other side of the stop sign, they stepped off the curb, coming across the street, and Ari said he was gone. She took him from Ari's hand.
She was not only speeding in the school zone, but she had also run the stop sign because she was texting.
The lady who hit X was texting. Her head was in her lap. She never even saw X in front of her. She actually came straight through the stop sign. There were no brake marks, no skid marks at all. She never stopped at a four-way stop sign. She never stopped. You know, I'm told that the text was, I'm on my way. Did she make it? Did she get to where she was going on time? That would be my question for her.
I feel like it was just a dream.
and for weeks it did. It felt like I'd wake up and I'd just think, did I dream that accident? I'm just a guy, you know, I'm just a young guy, I got a wife, you know, a daughter on the way. I'm just a guy. This could happen. That can't be real, you know, I just dreamed that. Memories, you know, what you saw that day, you know, they come back at different points. You know, I'll maybe be somewhere and I'll see an Amish family, or I'll see an Amish, and it'll bring back memories of the accident. This was the last text message I sent before I caused an accident that killed 3 people.
The Amish family was on their way 8 o'clock in the morning that day, and then the van was driven by a young man from Bluffton, Chandler Gerber. He was on the way to a job. He cleaned carpets at the time, and he was traveling about the speed limit we determined. He wasn't speeding or anything like that, just traveling along, and he overtook the Amish right there, right just where about my car is, and basically hit the Amish buggy from behind and just ended up all the way from the point where my car is here. It's about 400 feet, 430 feet where he ended up, where the van ended up.
I was heading east, right into the sunrise, driving along. As I was driving, I was texting back and forth with my wife. I was texting, and I think I was reading a text back at the time of the accident, because I remember driving and like my head just snapped up when I saw, you know, the windshield just glass broke and screeching, and my head, you know, it happened in about a second. I mean, I had 1,000 thoughts going through my mind. As I started coming to a stop, I saw, you know, a body come down from off the top of the van. And I just thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? What have I done? And I realized, you know, I had hit something, and I realized it was an Amish buggy. I jumped out of the van, totally silent outside the van. At that second in time, there was nobody else coming or going. I walked around back, and I looked in the ditch, and there was bodies just laying there. I mean, it was just silent. It was just quiet. The only sound I heard, the only thing I saw moving was the horse. It was severely wounded. It was just kind of moving around on the ground a little bit. I remember the mother was laying, I believe it was face down on her hands and knees, like she had been sitting on a chair. And it just, like, the force just hit her, and she just didn't have time to move. You know, she was just sitting in that same position on the ground. And I just remember staring, and nobody else was around, just me and the family that was laying in the ditch, and the horse, and just silence.
You had all kinds of chaos here. This is the van that was driven by Chandler Gerber. As you can see, the front of the vehicle is just totally smashed here. He was devastated. He was crying. He was just almost in a panic mode.
I knew that I had been texting and driving. I knew that I had been around that time, you know, involved with reading my phone or texting or what have you. I was hysterical. I think I was probably in shock. I was sitting in a van in the passenger seat, taking in, as far as I could see straight ahead, just lights and sirens and people. And I saw a hearse drive by. And so right there, then I just had this sinking feeling that there was at least one dead person. They took two young children. It was a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. They took a 17-year-old son
I saw the youngest of the children, 3-year-old Enos. He was laying face down in the ditch right here, just to our side, right behind, right in front of me here, actually. He looked like he was asleep until we rolled him over, and we saw the injuries to his face, injuries to his legs, looked like they were both broken. It was very devastating.
Shortly after the accident, it was pretty rough. A lot of tears, a lot of, why did this happen? This note was from Martin Schwartz, the father of the children that had passed away from my accident. It says, "Dear ones, trusting in God's ways, how does this find you? Hope all in good health and in good cheer. Around here, we're all on the go and try to make the best we can. I always wonder if we take enough time with our children. Wishing you the best with your little one in the unknown future. I think of you often. Keep looking up. God is always there. Sincerely, Martin and Mary Schwartz." I wish so bad I could go back to that day and change my focus. I wish I could go back and say, you know, I can do these texts when I get to my stop, you know, when I get there. I don't have to do this right now while I'm driving. You know, there's just nothing that important. But at that point, you know, it was just, you know, oh, I can text and drive. It's no big deal. And it is a big deal. Please don't do it. Please don't ever text and drive. It's life. You get one chance and you live with the choices you make.
She has no life, really. Her balance is off. Her arms don't work very well.
She likes to watch the boats going up and down the river, and
She's got double vision. She can't see very well.
it's very hard for her. She cannot leave this yard.
We put up a fence in her backyard so she wouldn't roll down the bank into the river.
She loves feeding her bird, taking care of the wildlife that comes around.
She had her life planned. She was always planning everything. Now she can't plan anything because she can't remember anything.
Debbie was very active, outgoing. She worked 60+ hours a week. She held a very good position, traveling all over the world, going to Istanbul, Turkey, traveling to France, and loving working for her job, and they loved Debbie very, very much. Now she is dependent on everybody, myself, my brother, friends. She cannot go into the front of the yard by herself because her vision.
I don't remember anything about the accident. From what I was told, I was bringing my leased dog for walks for the last time at night before I went to bed.
Well, it was a Sunday night, August the 7th, approximately 9:15. My sister had come out of her house to get her mail by the big pine tree. She was struck by a teenager texting and driving. The white mailbox is where my sister was struck. Was carried on the hood of the car to right over here And this is where the neighbors found her. When she was in the hospital, she was swollen from head to toe. She had a shunt sticking out of her head right here to relieve pressure in her brain because her brain was so swollen. Her eyes, her right eye was swollen shut. Her face was swollen. Her neck was broken. Both her arms were broken. Ribs were broken. Her pelvis was smashed. She had a broken ankle and a broken leg. Her thumb ripped off. Almost ripped off. They sewed it back together. It was terrible. It was heartbreaking. She was in her coma, and I went up to her, and I started talking to her, and I had her hand, and she squeezed my hand. She knew I was there. And I told her, I said, Debbie, I know you're in there. I know you can't talk or anything, but I know you're in there. And she gave me another squeeze on my hand. She knew that I was talking to her. She could feel it. Her sentence was 30 days in jail. She's got 5 months of house arrest, 500 hours of community service, and that's about it. My sister doesn't want anything to do with her. She's too angry right now. And I don't think that anger is going to go away anytime soon.
Charlie is the big chocolate lab right here. He was 11 years old when he was killed. Charlie was about 115 pounds.
No, he was about 105.
105 pounds.
Charlie was my best friend. He was so loving, so lovable.
We're working on my sister, and somebody said, "Where's Debbie's dog?" And that's when the search went out, and they found him over here in the trees. The mailbox had been knocked, the blue mailbox had been knocked down. We think that he was thrown through the air and knocked that mailbox down. He took the full force of the car.
He laid on the side of the road. The neighbors told us, wagging his tail, while Debbie was being loaded up in the ambulance. It's just not right. My sister's life has been changed forever.
She went from being active to inactive in a stroke of a second, and it's over. Her life as she knew it is over.
She loved work. She helped me with my children. She was always there for me. It's heartbreaking every day to see my sister like this when you knew how she was before. No.
I'm very fond of telescopes. It's just a reminder of my father and the good times that we used to have. The telescope's just another way that I look at him being a scientist and the brilliant man he was. At night, we would go outside and look at the stars, and he would tell me the different constellations, help me learn them. When there were meteor showers, he'd come and wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and take me outside, and we'd just stare and watch the meteor showers for hours. Just me and my dad outside, wrapped up in blankets. It was just a phenomenal feeling, just good father-daughter time for us. The best father I could have ever asked for.
Yeah, growing up, I was pretty typical. Played a lot of sports growing up. Played basketball, played football, played baseball, ran track. I'm quiet on the phone. I'm awkward on the phone. I'm I have always preferred to text or to talk in person.
I'm a cowboy, I guess, and I'm a child of the mountains. I've recently took a trip out on the prairie, and it was pretty, but I'm a child of the mountains, and I need mountains around me. Every morning I can get up and watch the sun come up over this mountain to the east. It's a beautiful mountain. Watch the sun go down in the west over another pretty mountain. So I'm not much into technology. As a blacksmith, all your problems can be solved with a bigger hammer, more heat and a bigger hammer. So I'm not much of a technology guy, and I never have liked texting, and since that day I've liked it even less.
I text often, daily. I keep in touch with friends and family.
The car doing the texting was going this direction. The two Thicol engineers were heading out this way, and as they passed, they brushed each other, which spun the little blue car with the Thicol engineers, spun it around this way into the path of an oncoming pickup.
There's about a 15 or 16 mile stretch of Highway 30 going to Logan, and from the time we started on that stretch of road headed towards Logan, the driver ahead of me was distracted. I did notice that. He crossed over the center line multiple times.
It was early in the morning. It was still fairly dark outside, and it was raining pretty bad. And on the way to work, I'm texting and reading messages, and I go across the center line and I hit another car. I don't remember what I was texting. I don't remember what the message said. That's how important it was.
And I saw him cross over the center line, and at that moment, things kind of go into slow motion, and you could just see that, and I thought, man, this is going to be bad.
I remember the sound of the cars hitting, glass breaking, brakes and tires squealing.
He just sideswiped it and sent it into a skid, and I had the definite recollection of thinking to myself that, I knew right then that I was going to collide with that car, and I just thought, oh, this is going to be bad. I knew right then and there, and it just, the question in my mind was, how bad was it going to be? And my truck hit the passenger side of the car. They said the car carried him down in the ditches. I braked and was trying to get stopped and avoid it, and obviously I couldn't. My pickup went halfway through that car.
I got out of my car. I ran back towards the accident, and there was a man on the phone. I heard him say that there were two men in the car that weren't breathing.
The two people that were killed were inside the blue car. This other one shows what the car looked like after the accident.
I look at that picture. Is all I can think about is those families, those two men. And while I was driving, I decided that texting and driving was more important to me than those two men were to their families. And how selfish that was of me to make that decision to text and drive. knowing every day that you killed 2 people is one of the hardest things that you could live with.
I have night terrors all the time about my dad's car accident that come in waves of, it can be just me standing on the side of the freeway where it happened, just watching the accident happen and not being able to move. I can't go try and stop the accident from happening. I can't go see if my father's okay. I can't save my father. I'm just standing on the side of the road. I can't do anything. 2, I've been Reggie, the one texting while driving that hits the car. Just being the one that causes the accident. And 2, I've been the driver of the truck that T-boned my dad. Just sitting in the seat, just killing my own father.
Ended up with some herniated discs in my back, and my knees took a pretty big beating in the dash. How much of the damage to them was from the accident, I don't know, but horseshoeing's a very physical occupation. It's hard on your back anyway, and to suddenly end up with some herniated discs, you know, your life of a horseshoer is over.
It's been almost 7 years in September, and it is still very difficult for me. That's unimaginable. There's no other way to look at it. I put my phone away, and I saved those 2 men's lives. And it's that simple. It's that simple for me now, looking back. And when I speak to others, I share the same message. I say, now it's that easy for you going forward to save someone's life. You put the phone away when you drive, and you're safer behind the wheel, and everyone else is safer on the road around you. I want people to look at me and look at what I did and what I caused and say, I don't want to be that guy.
First time I saw Reggie in court, my feelings was just sheer hatred. I was appalled at the fact that this kid my age had killed my dad, taken him away from me.
On my sentencing date, and the families had the chance to get up and address me and speak to me. And
all I could do was just look at him and hate him and wish how much he would die, or that it was him that was dead instead of my dad.
Megan got up and she talked about her wedding. And she had just gotten married, and she talks about how her father wasn't there to walk her down the aisle. And she looked at me and she said, because you took that from me. And she was absolutely right.
I would like to think that my dad is somewhere in the universe. I go outside at night, sit on my balcony when I'm really upset. I stare at the sky, and whenever I'm super upset, I always see a shooting star. And I like to think that that's my way, or my dad's way, of trying to communicate with me. I felt that my dad would not have wanted me to be mad at him for the rest of my life. And that I knew my dad had forgiven him. I knew that. And that he would want me to try and move on and forgive him and even get to know him.
Forgiveness is It's something that I see from Megan. I see that forgiveness. I feel it. I'm grateful for it.
I reached out to Reggie to tell him, you know, I forgive you. My dad forgave you. I want to help you through your, you know, trying to make a difference in this whole thing.
I was once told that to be a good member of society, you have to give back more than you take. I can never give back those two men's lives, ever.
I would just like to say, for anybody out there who has a cell phone, focus while you're driving, pay attention while you're driving, don't take your eyes off the road while you're driving. Things can happen so quick that it'll change your life forever.
I will say it over and over and over again. Don't text and drive. Thank you.
I tell Erica to please don't text and drive. How many other people are going to have to be killed? How many other people are going to be left like my sister Debbie?
It's just nuts. It's crazy. I don't know why people don't want to talk to each other anyway.
You're just seeing the dangers of texting while driving. Please, it can wait. Don't text while driving. It'll save lives. Thank you.
I was in an accident one time, and it was for changing lanes. The young lady that I took out failed to check her blind spot, and she signaled. She looked in her mirror, but she didn't see the car in the blind spot. Needless to say, we ended up in a little fender bender. There's 3 things you got to do when you change lanes. You have to do it in that order because there's a certain procedure. You let your signal run. And while it's running, you look in your mirror. Then once you've made sure that there's nothing there, you merge over and you're safe.
A lane change should be just a really simple thing. You have your blinker on, you look in the mirror, you look over your shoulder, and you did everything right, and you see that there's a vehicle there, well then turn your signal light off, go down the road, try again later. It's that simple.
Sometimes you could be doing a really great job, even though you have a signal, you're telling everybody what you're doing next. The other guy just may not care. And he might go in anyways. Before you know it, you're trying to avoid sideswiping a vehicle that's there. If an applicant approaches a right turn, there's a bicycle lane, and they're approaching, they have their signal on, they're just looking straight, they don't look in the mirror, they don't look over the shoulder, that is a critical error. If they approach a left turn, entering the center left turn lane, and they signal, and that's all they do, that before they enter, they don't look, that's another critical error. So those will automatically cause them to fail.
Any lane change requires that you signal, check your mirrors, and check your blind spot. This includes merging into another lane when your lane ends, leaving a curb when pulling into traffic, merging into a bike lane, or merging into a center turn lane.
At this particular stoplight, we want to make a left turn. And then when the light turns green and we have oncoming traffic, sometimes the applicant doesn't realize that they have to wait for oncoming traffic before they can make their left turn.
If they have a green protected arrow, then they know that the car that's coming is supposed to stop. So when they see a solid green light, they think of the rule of the green arrow. They think, okay, my light is green, I'm going to go, this guy should be stopping, and he doesn't stop. When it's a green signal and you're going to make a left turn, you have to yield to the car that's coming.
You need to edge out into the middle of the intersection, wait for all oncoming traffic to go through, whether they're turning or going straight, and wait for the pedestrians to cross. Then complete your left turn in a safe manner.
Don't worry if you're in the intersection when the light turns red. You've entered legally on a green light, so other traffic has to wait for you to clear before they can proceed.
Some of the most common mistakes that drive test applicants make are crosswalks. Okay, when you come to an intersection, they go right in the crosswalk, and next thing you know, there's 2-3 people standing, on the corner wanting to cross. The whole point of the crosswalk is you have to stop behind the line. Then you check for pedestrians, right or left, and then if there's no pedestrians, you can move up into the crosswalk after that, so you can see around the corner. And you look, and then if everything's good, you keep going.
You need to understand the right of way, who turns, who changes, who goes, who stops. There's nothing there to help you to say, okay, if the car on your right gets there first, then he goes first. You have to already know that, ahead of time. And the way you drive will tell whether or not you understand the right of way. So you need to make sure that you understand that.
The biggest mistakes I'll see is they won't make complete stops, or they will just kind of come up, look, and roll right through the stop.
And people think that they've paused or that they've rolled to a stop and there's nobody in the intersection, and that's enough. But we're not called to market if it's enough. We're called to market if it's not done at all.
Stopping over the limit lines is another big one, because again, they feel they're looking to see if it's clear, especially on right turns. They want to pull up and see if it's clear to make that right turn, so they fail to make their proper stop behind the limit line and check first to see if anyone needs to cross.
I would say 90% of the people out there taking drive tests are extremely confused with that limit line. And, we want to get it out there that all they need to do is stop, look left and right for pedestrians. If there are none, creep up. If they cannot see traffic, creep up so that they can see traffic better. And then from that point, make their turns.
A lot of times there are school buses on our particular route, and our applicant will just drive right through with the red lights on. You have children crossing, and that's an automatic fail because they didn't stop. Whether they're on the same side of the bus or the opposite side of the bus, you have to stop until those red lights go off.
The most common reason in our drive test that causes a critical error on a drive test is usually the red arrow, making a right turn against a red right turn arrow on our specific route. And usually they do that safely. They will stop and they'll look, and it'll be done safely. However, it is illegal and it's not correct. You are to come to a complete stop and not attempt to move. You're supposed to hold your position until the light turns green.
When you have a double left turn lane, you can get into the inside lane or the outside lane. Now, when you make your left turn on a green light, if you commit to that inside left turn lane, you have to make sure that you stay and end in your inside left turn lane. If you're on the outside lane, you can end in either lane to the outside.
They're so used to making that left turn and merging all the way to the far lane that when it becomes a double turning lane, now it's designated lane to designated lane, they don't tend to do the turn correctly.
If they're on the inside lane, they will usually in the middle of the intersection cross over to the outside lane without checking for traffic in that lane, and vice versa. If they're on the outside lane, they tend to cross over on the inside lane and cause a problem there. And those are critical errors.
Make yourself aware of speed limits everywhere you go, because speed is a big factor. If you go 10 miles under the speed limit or 10 miles over the speed limit, you're going to fail. And of course, depending on the traffic, flow, you know, we can understand, or the weather conditions. You are going to have to go a little slower sometimes, but there are times when, as soon as you get on this road, that the speed limit is 50 miles per hour, you're going to have to step on the gas.
There's a misconception about what speed you should be traveling at during a school zone. You know, they always ask me, what does a sign mean when it says 25 when children are present? And I basically tell them it means just that. Okay, present. If they're there, if you can see them, that means they're present. So that means you should be at 25.
If there is no one around, then we expect them to go the speed limit, which is 40 miles per hour.
People who come in for their driving test and have not actually prepared for their driving test, will demonstrate that on the road. When we get an ambulance, an individual sometimes panics and they don't know what to do. So they either just stop in their lane or they'll just continue on like they don't hear it.
They're nervous, so they'll come and they'll get that tunnel vision. They're not thinking about what they're doing. They're just kind of focused on one thing rather than taking it all in, seeing the whole situation and reacting to the road conditions at that time.
I just had one recently over at the railroad crossing where we were stopped and the individual actually stopped beyond the marker indicated by the limit line. And what they did was they waited. And so I had to talk them through it. We're going to look left and right, see how close that train is, because we're going to be hit, quite frankly. So we need to get out of that position.
Some applicants have trouble with their ability to control the vehicle, such as backing up in a straight line.
They think I'm backing in a straight line and they have to really move the steering wheel. Well, really moving the steering wheel really moves the vehicle. And that's how we end up hitting curbs, going up on top of curbs.
Hitting the curb is a disqualification on the test. Also, when backing up, turn your head to look behind you.
We have an awful lot of people who do that, who look right out the driver window while they're reversing their car. And that's an automatic fail. And it should be, because that's pretty dangerous. If somebody crosses the back path of your car, you nailed them.
Get the handbook, study material, find out what is going to be required on the drive test, and prepare yourself for that. Get out there and drive. The best way to prepare is the actual practical experience. So get out there, experience different road conditions. If you live in a real rural community, go downtown.
And that way when they come in, they are comfortable and they're not trying anything new out there. One of the things that does affect a driving test is when an applicant appears in a vehicle that they just borrowed for that day for the driving test. This does affect their test from the beginning to the end. At the beginning of a drive test, we ask the applicant to locate certain items in their vehicle. And when they borrow a vehicle, they don't know where these items are.
Well, say for instance, it's a rainy day and we're driving along and you don't turn your windshield wipers on. Well, I want you to be the one to turn them on your own. So I'll wait a few minutes. But then if we are driving and I'm thinking, okay, I can barely see out of the windshield, I'm sure that my driver can't. I will eventually say, please turn your windshield wipers on. And when that happens, you know, basically the drive test is over.
Sometimes I get applicants that come in that have never driven this car before. They're just not familiar with their brake. Different vehicles have different sensitivity, you know, as far as how much pressure to apply. And sometimes they apply too much pressure. Now you're doing this type of thing, you know, you come back with your neck sore. You know, so, and they're getting points deducted because they're not braking smoothly.
Or it could be just that they're unfamiliar with the car because parking brakes are in different areas in vehicles. The car they're used to has a handbrake, but the car they're in is controlled by the foot. And I've had them reach down and try and push it with their hand. And I'm thinking, no, look how it is, and what do you need to do? And then I literally had to say, put your foot on there and push it down, because they really don't know.
Come in with a car that you've been practicing with. You're already nervous for the drive test, and just you don't need more things to complicate the drive test itself. Make it simple as possible on yourself in the same car. That way your comfort level is always better.
They just drive forward. They won't see pedestrians. They don't see cars. We have a little warning dip sign, which it says 20 miles per hour. A lot of times they won't even see the sign, which means that they're not scanning. They have tunnel vision. So they're just driving straight through, and they'll get marked a point. Wouldn't be fail, but it would be a point to go through that dip more than 20 miles per hour.
There's a tailgater. We'll notice them in the side mirror, but they'll be driving looking straight ahead, not paying attention. The guy behind is flashing his lights, and the driver doesn't even notice. When I drive out there, I'm always constantly looking. I'm always thinking ahead. Just because you have the right of way, it doesn't mean others are going to let you have it.
You don't know what other cars or what the drivers of the other cars see. You can't really depend on the other cars to make the proper decision for you, so you've got to be on the lookout. When you're approaching an intersection, you should be what we call scanning, both left and right. Right turns, you have to be aware of pedestrians that might be on your immediate right side or pedestrians that are coming towards you from ahead. Left turns, you've got to be aware of traffic that's moving into your path. Residential areas, there's lots of parked cars. There might be kids playing in the street, people pulling out of driveways, but lots of cars in a DMV parking lot. People leaving, people coming.
And if an individual does not turn and look at something that may be a potential hazard, the examiner, again, will tell them, you need to slow down. That car doesn't look like it's going to stop. Let's be prepared for that. And so most of the time they're like, what car? You need to keep those eyes moving all the time.
And I would say that that's the most important part of driving, is the scanning, because basically that's what's going to save your life.
Some people think that being extra cautious will help them pass their driving test. Caution is good, but too much can create traffic hazards.
Being overcautious on a driving test is not good, because it does affect the overall flow of traffic. That's a problem because it seems that when at a four-way stop, that when they come to their stop, they don't want to go ahead and go on their turn. They'd rather wait for everybody else to go and then take their turn. And the only problem with that is that it confuses the other drivers. And there's a nice rhythm usually going at four-way stops, and then they will take that rhythm out and then cause people to try to decide, are they part of this game or are they just going to sit there? And so then the examiner will usually have to say, you need to go on your turn.
So you have to be assertive. You have to accept right of way when it is yours. Of course, make sure that it is safe to proceed. But when you're overly cautious, you tend to hesitate, and that confuses other traffic.
When they're pulling out into traffic and they're waiting for cross traffic to be clear, they tend to wait until there is no cars rather than just clear. And sometimes I think I need my binoculars or a telescope to see that oncoming car, but they will hold. And as a result, if they keep doing that, then we have to tell them, you need to go ahead and continue.
When an examiner intervenes like this on a test, it affects your score. If it's serious enough to be considered a critical error, then it's a cause for failing the test.
People drive too slow because they've been told by friends, relatives, just go ahead and drive slower than you normally do, and that way you're safe no matter what. But what constitutes a critical error on a drive test is driving too slow, and that's usually 10 miles or more under the speed limit for no apparent reason when driving conditions are good.
Driving in an unfamiliar area can be difficult, especially if you're taking a test. If you come across a traffic element you haven't encountered before, such as a roundabout, it may be difficult to know what to do.
They don't know which way to go. They've never seen it. They think it's just a circle in the middle of the road. I've seen them just cut clear across to the left instead of going around it. They'll just sit there and look at you like, what am I doing here? Which way am I supposed to go? So, I mean, like, you know, for somebody that's never seen it, it's something difficult.
Unfamiliar elements are not the only problem. Some areas have situations that require more careful observation.
We are located in a commercial area, but what a lot of people don't realize is that there is no speed limit sign posted anywhere on the road where this office is located. So they tend to go a lot faster than they should. They don't realize, and so at the end of the drive test, if it's someone who just who drove too fast on this road, then I let them know, I asked them, so what do you think the speed limit is on this road? And they usually say 35, 45. And I say, why is that? Why do you think that? And they'll tell me, well, it's commercial. And I say, but where's the speed limit sign? And then they're like, well, I didn't see it. I say, exactly. So unless otherwise posted, the speed limit should be 25, right? And they're like, oh, right.
Come out a little sooner and drive the area. Look what the speed limit signs are. Look at what type of intersections are out there. Is there a lot of pedestrians? Is there high congested areas? Are there railroad tracks? Are there different things that you may have to make certain adjustments for?
Go into the area, drive around, get a feel of it. It'll really help you calm down.
The first treat of the slay it. At a grocery store.
The Endicott
Good afternoon, everyone. Right and left. Up and the car. Okay. So I just for the left mirror. Going to the so I'm top and bottom. We're going to do most curve. I like a I mean what that means. Seatbelt. For the instruction to get first you gotta change it. Use that same move your shoulder to so this is a regular for pedestrian. Let's stop here again. Go. 25. Three. Exam. Vicky or anything like. A lot of people say. Look right. Forward. Over here. Straight, you don't see. White turn. Turn, guys. Again, so another time. Coming from the right. Let's go. A hand over hand. When you're turning, you should be about like 8 to 10, speed. Okay. Looking for because someone is. Good way. There. Have a stop sign. Just cover the person is there. Okay. And then the turn here. As you can see. Someone stop. We're covering the brake. You're gonna hit the brake. That's the reason. So look at the right side of it. Okay. All this case, someone stop on the left side. So you're gonna pass to the right. You're gonna cover the brake. Just look at the car, right and left. Make sure your car can pass through. It's clear. Okay. Look to the left side. The guy is there. Take off the signal. Okay. We're gonna make a right turn again. Stop twice again. Last time. Okay. There's nobody here. Okay. We'll make a right turn. Again, this is an always stop sign. What that means, you're supposed to stop only once. If you stop, look around for traffic. Also the pedestrian. If you don't see anyone, just go. And whoever comes first, he or she has to go first. Okay, guys. We're gonna make a left turn. Let's stop here. Okay, let's lean forward. Again, you don't want to rush up, but again, you want to be too slow either. Okay, nobody's there. We're going. Let's go. Let's do car parking behind the black car. Okay. So you want to slow down, signal. Okay. So how far you should be from the other car? That's the most common questions as well. Okay, you should be about 1 feet or 1.5 feet away from the other car. Guess what? You don't want to be too close to the other car because that time it's kind of like if the owner sees it, you know, he or she might think, oh my, you're probably gonna hit the car or anything. And also, it's not safe to be too close with the other car either. All right. So again, we are using the same technique here. Remember, in the beginning of the video, gear, signal, wheel, look mirror, look back. So I'm gonna change the gear to the reverse. Okay, I put it to reverse. Okay, signal is already here. So I do 1 to the right. Now I look at the left mirrors and I don't see anyone is coming. So I'm gonna move your shoulder to the right and I'll release the brake. And while I'm, turning my shoulder to the right, I'm looking on the tip of my eyes. I'm looking at the mirror and see. Okay, and look at that mirrors. And again, as you can see, I have a backup camera. Look at it. It's kind of like 45-degree angle. And if you see in the mirrors, it's also just like 45-degree angle. Okay, and it's called V shape. Okay. Then when you get to that, and I do 2 to the left. 1, 2. Again, keep putting your shoulder to the right. Okay. And now you're thinking if you're gonna be close or if you're gonna be wide or if it's gonna be wide. Okay. I think we're doing a pretty good job, and I think we're gonna be fine here. Okay. So again, it's called parallel parking because you're parallel to the car and the car. Okay. So again, you wanna make straight as possible. You wanna put it to drive, and then do 1 to the right. Again, guys, do you see I use in the initial I put 1 to the right, 2 to the left, 1 to the right. So it's called 1 to 1 for parallel parking. So you lean forward and you stop, and when you're done, you put it to park, unless they give you some other instructions. So usually when you park, they're probably gonna say, let's do the K turn or broken U-turn or 3-point turns. So again, whatever turn they ask you to do, usually you do the same turn. They call broken U-turn, K-turn, 3-point turns, which just has the same meaning. Okay. When they say a broken U-turn, K-turn, 3-point turns, and pull out or go into traffic, the first question you're supposed to think: do you have enough space in the front or not? If you don't have enough space, you should go back. But seems like again, I do have quite big space in the front, so I don't think I don't need to back up. Okay. So again, we're using the same format: gear, change it to drive, and again, you have to hit the brake to change the gear, guys. Okay, so gear, I put a signal to the left, and now you are turning all the way to the left. Okay, gear, signal, wheel, all the way to the left. You look front, if anyone's coming from the front. If you don't see anyone in the front, now look at the mirrors. If anyone coming from the mirrors, move your shoulder to the left. Now you want to tap the gas slowly. Okay, let's stop here. You want to be in the middle, put it to reverse. Now you are turning right all the way to the right. Okay, when you block, look at them, move your shoulder to the right. Let's stop here, put it to drive, all the way to the right. Again, it's extra points if you put a signal to the left, and you keep putting the gas and roll over. Again, we use the same technique: gear, signal, wheel, look mirror, look back, which is instead of the wheel, we put all the way to the left. Okay. And when you're looking right and left, make sure if you see any emergency vehicle is coming with the sirens, then you're supposed to make it sure and go wherever you want to go. Okay. So let's make a right turn here. The only difference on the road test and the instruction will give you some more feedback, but on the exam, they're just gonna tell you either you're gonna make it right or left, or do broken U-turn, K-turn, or 3-point turns, or parallel parking. Okay. Okay, so here is the bump, and in the bump it says you should be passed less than 20. So again, you know, you want to save the car, so you should pass the bump less than 20. Okay. Who will be making a left turn on the light? And the people who are coming on oncoming traffic, they have more right of way. Since we are making a left turn, we're supposed to wait. Unless if anyone coming, we should let them go first. Well, there's nobody's here. We continue to make the left turn. Again, since I'm making a left turn, I'm not passing any yellow line. I'm driving along with the yellow line. It's not too close, not too wide. And as you can see, this is a little bit wide, so you're going to be right next to the yellow line. Okay. So we're going to pull over to the right. We're going to signal slow down. Move your shoulder to the right. Just come slowly. And again, when you pull over to the right, so it's pretty much like you're doing a straight parking. And again, you want to take the whole block to park the car. You're gonna do as soon as possible. It'd be safe to do so. Okay, after you complete it, you finish put it to park. And here is it, guys. Again, guys, good luck. Just trying to provide you feedback on the video, and
Any question, guys? Any
No,
question?
no.
Okay. If it's not, I will end up the class. And like if you have any question, you can call us back at 718-262-9622. And also please call the driving school on Tuesday and let us know when exactly you want the road test to be done, what time and which day. Please let the secretary know at the driving school, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Have a nice day.
You have a good day.
Have a
And
good
good
day.
luck.
Good luck. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, gas station